But why throw in the towel? Like, fuck it. Let's just go make separate nations. Stop trying to get along, everybody. Like, I have a 2-year-old. I'm not going to say you're a 2-year-old. I'm just saying we're trying to teach her, share. You know, just let's share this country. Let's share this land. You know, immigrants.
I get where you're coming from. I get where you're coming
It's
from.
not
I would say,
brother.
I get where you're coming from. I would say this. If you build a house on a faulty foundation, it doesn't matter how much refurbishing you do. It doesn't matter how much fixing up you do. It doesn't matter how many gardens you build or how many beautiful facades. The house is going to collapse. If we're going to have a peaceful world, and believe me, I want a more peaceful world than what we have today, we're going to have to build societies based on the foundation of human nature. America as a global platform for all humanity. America that's this legal document, the Constitution. Ooh, the
It's a hopeless and
Constitution.
pessimistic outlook.
I am absolutely not pessimistic. I think that once Europeans stop farting around with all this equality and democracy nonsense, I think we will go to the stars. I think we will rival the ancients in terms of our greatness. But for that to happen, we are going to have to get over this silliness that is believed in by liberals, this silliness that is believed in maybe even harder by so-called conservatives, this silliness that America is effectively a legal document, that America is based on rights. We need to get away from that nonsense.
Rise while everyone else goes down. That's not nonsense. You know, we can all rise together. Like, and so I want to invite you.
You
and I
can't
want to
just
invite you,
say
Preston,
it and
like,
it's not going to happen.
Well, yes. Like, it's going to be hard. It's difficult. We have to humble ourselves. You know, it's not easy to create.
And so, a young Spartan made Xerxes bleed. Richard Spencer, king of Kex, was cold-cocked at a rally where he was trying to troll anti-fascists. He was going in with his usual, corporate passive-aggressive attitude into a crowd of protesters who were not fucking around. Richard Spencer, before he had a public coming out as sort of this lobbyist for white nationalism, as a component of the quasi-think tank NPI, sort of a KKK Street lobbying organization. Richard Spencer was a relatively popular speaker on college campuses, and he understood, like any fascist, he understood the relevance of optics and the significance of propaganda, which he does to this day, and will now have a profound obstacle in front of him in terms of what kind of image can Richard Spencer project now? Because if you're going to be the leader of a neo-reactionary fascist movement, if you're going to sell yourself as Hitler, the remake or the sequel or whatever you want to call it, you are going to have quite a road ahead of you if there's a video on the internet that is on fire. And what seems like 10 million memes highlighting the fact that you not only got sucker punched when you were en route to gloating about the election of your Reich ruler, the man who was going to collapse Western civilization so that you can rebuild in your own image, in your own white image, the Western world, Now Richard Spencer is the guy who cried after getting sucker punched. He was... You know what makes it even more amazing, the video, is that he was in the middle of explaining to some normie reporter what Pepe was. He was wearing some stupid fucking button. Usually Republicans, they sport sort of a cynical but decorative American flag pin on their lapel to indicate that they're, proper nationalist. They believe in pride and country, and just the American flag itself being put there on a politician's blazer is, problematic. So, Richard Spencer was explaining to a normie reporter that Pepe is a meme, blah, blah, blah. It means so-and-so thing, and people are too sensitive about it. And what's really brilliant about the moment where he got socked is it was immediately after he was doing his spiel that he does for the press of, I'm not a bad guy, I'm a white nationalist, but I like black people, I don't have a problem with Spanish people, neo-Nazis hate me, but it was so decorative. It was such fucking window dressing, as it always has been, this idea that you can be a white nationalist and not be a bigot, and you can be a white nationalist and not be a neo-Nazi, and the implication was that he's the mainstream guy who can become a congressman, a senator, maybe even president, because he's the moderate guy, he's the modest guy. That contraindicates the image that he forged for himself on college campuses, which was that the aura of violence surrounded him. That he was a hippie puncher.
All right. BTHOH, hate, what does that mean?
That stands for beat the hell out of hate.
Oh, that's very nice. You look so boring and bourgeois, yet you're going to beat the hell out of me? Really?
No,
What are you waiting for?
That's...
You're wearing this T-shirt, sir. Well, I'm right here. Why don't you come beat me up?
I was intending to ask a civil question, sir.
Why are you wearing a violent T-shirt that says you're going to beat
Go to
the
A&M.
hell out of?
Spend a little time at A&M and you'll figure out what this means.
Oh, effectively it means nothing. Because you, I knew you when I saw you first coming in. I've seen millions of people like you. You are a white coward. You wear some little T-shirt, beat the hell out of hate. Yeah, you're not even willing to do that. That T-shirt is total bullshit. You're not even willing to go to the gym. Look how fat you are. You can't beat the hell out of anything, sir. Seriously. I have to say, people say I am based on hate.
I hope this is getting on tape.
I have utter
contempt.
This
is free speech, everybody.
I have utter contempt for losers like you, sir. You wear a violent T-shirt. You're not even willing to actually do anything. What are you waiting for? What are you waiting for?
May I ask my question, please? In the reality-free world in which you inhabit.
Oh, yeah.
And I'm glad I don't inhabit it. And I'm glad most of the people in this room don't inhabit it as well. And I think we're all pretty happy about that. But do you advocate using DNA testing to establish white identity? What makes a white? And have you undergone DNA testing yourself to establish that you are of pure white European ancestry?
Apparently, sir, most all of science and the Google Corporation disagree with you. 23andMe can easily tell you your race.
Organize or invigorate angry young white youth right-leaning white youth, because, you know, there's plenty of white hippies on college campuses who have no interest in kissing Richard Spencer's ass, but he would always do all of this theater, having skinhead bodyguards protect the stage when hippies would come up and protest him, or rightfully outraged black activists would lose their temper and sort of push past his mayonnaise demeanor into what he was actually saying behind his words, which was sort of persistently putting his middle finger up and teasing out the fact that he could play with words and then play the victim when people actually held him to the substance of those words rather than the implications. You know, this is my problem with the apologists of the alt-right, whether they're Republicans, New Right, or within the online skeptic community, is this kind of idea of, you know, only explicit racism needs pushback. I think anybody else who really has skin in the game, who actually will be in the oven on the day of Richard Spencer's glorious victory, knows that you have to push back against what people mean. I mean, I remember white liberals being pretty good at calling out dog whistles when it was run-of-the-mill vanilla Republicans doing it, and during the Bush administration, I don't know, then they slipped and fell. So, just like in the celebration of fascism, directed by Zack Snyder, which I actually like very much. I don't agree with the politics of the film 300, because it does very explicitly endorse fascism and white nationalism. That movie really is a neo-Nazi porno. There is a moment at the end where the Spartan king Leonidas drops his shield and his helmet, and he looks like he's about to bow down to the Islamo-fascist ruler Xerxes, this 8-foot tall, fey Arab king. And he does his rebel yell and holds up his Confederate flag and fires his Spartan phallic object at Xerxes, and pierces Xerxes' fag face, to show the people under the rule of Islamofascism that their king is not a god, he's just a man. And that moment has occurred for Richard Spencer irrevocably. Thank you, Internet. Thank you for the permanence of embarrassment. We should not use violence against political adversaries. Nobody should punch John McCain in the face. Because as shit as the U.S. Republican Party is, as shit as the U.S. conservative movement is with their apologies for the brutal police state that we live in now, you won't see the Republican Senate Majority Leader walking around with a bunch of neo-Nazi bodyguards and implying that he's tough and can take a punch and he'll fight Nazis. Fight Nazis. I wish he would fight Nazis. That he'll fight Antifa in the street. I think that that's been cleared up. And now Richard Spencer can either go away to his hidey hole if he wants to continue wearing the Prussian uniform of violence, violent language, violent implication, or he can become another shitty, boring Republican politician, crypto-fascist, white nationalist, another dog-whistling, Muslim-hating, black welfare-taking, black welfare queen vilifying politician. Which is one of the reasons why people sort of gave up on David Duke, is that he pulled away from his militant movement and lost his street cred and failed when he decided that he was going to switch from rebel to ruler. Which is incredibly relevant in the next 6 months as Donald Trump switches over from insurgent to establishment. At least we won't have to worry about Richard Spencer having his bona fides, his street credibility intact. So kid who 5 o'clocked Richard Spencer in the face, you gotta go to jail. But man, I guarantee you it's fucking worth it. It has to have been worth it. I'd take 3 to 6 months for battery in jail for getting one good solid hit on Richard Spencer. Or just one good nut kick on Millennial Woes. I would do 1 year in jail. And I'm in New York, fucking Rikers Island. I'd do 1 year on Rikers Island to get one good square kick in the nuts to Millennial Woes. I know it's not right. I know it's not morally acceptable. But the jail time's worth it.